Mycroft was adamant that we leave for London immediately after the funeral. He never told me why, but I saw how unsettled he was by the long requiem.
Don't mind me, sir. I'm just a loyal servant of my craft.
The service was sparsely attended. Though my parents were buried separately, the pastor said they're united in heaven. I didn't believe him even then. I wanted to see her one last time before the coffin was interred and say how I loved her. The chance never came. I feel rather faint.
You're fine, you're fine. It's over now. You remembered everything. It will get easier soon.
A pocket watch? It seems familiar, John. Why is it here? Rest in peace, Violet Holmes. Goodbye, Mother. Rest in peace, Violet Holmes. Goodbye, Mother. This watch was a gift. My mother's initials are engraved on it. The piece is in good condition. It must have been placed here only recently. A candle in a small puddle of wax. It cannot have been lit for more than half an hour.
Is this really how you want to spend this time?
This is my mother's pocket watch, John. Who put it here and why? Are you not in the slightest bit interested? A man in fashionable shoes stood near the tomb. The size of the prints suggests he is approximately 5.5 feet tall.
You were about to tell me the make and model of tyre, but let me assure you, I do not care.
Well, it was going to be very impressive. Come on then, the trail continues ahead.
He mustn't be far away to leave it unattended.
It's stained with oil paint. The Hospitaller crypts. If memory serves, they're located at the far end of the cemetery around an old tree. I hope that inspiration strikes upon visiting these beautiful vaults. At the very least, you'll enjoy the view. Yours, Mercuria. It's stained with oil paint. A portable easel was kept there.
An artist working in a cemetery? Do you think he'd paint my portrait?
Oh, it's that ridiculous artist from the hotel.
Be nice, Sherry.
Mr.
Make
Holmes,
friends.
did you come for another portrait? No, I jest. You gave quite the performance last night. The hotel was abuzz with your name. I must say I was rather absorbed in it all. The fallibility of men. Such scandal.
It was a welcome distraction.
Oh, my manners. I am Werner Vogel, art enthusiast and gallery proprietor.
Mr. Vogel, I was perhaps too curt when last we spoke.
Speak no more of it. Travel takes it out of any man, never mind when this is your destination. Once I learned who you were, the pieces fell into place. Your mother was well liked on Codona in her time here. I was sorry to hear of her passing.
Does your gallery feature more than just portraiture?
Oh, of course. We display landscapes, sculpture, modern pieces too. I am sure we have something that will move you. You must stop by.
Only music moves me, I'm afraid.
Then you have simply not found your artist yet. Someone whose work hits you in your core. You're still young. I am sure we'll find them.
How did you come to possess my mother's pocket watch?
Oh my! It is quite something to witness those powers of deduction firsthand. Yes, I left you her timepiece. After her death, there was an estate sale. All of Cordona's elite picking of her remains. I couldn't let such a lovely thing go to those vultures. When I learned your name, I could no longer keep the watch in good conscience. It is yours by right, and I knew you'd find it here.
Thank you. I'd forgotten all about it, but the moment I saw it, I knew it was hers. Amazing what the young mind forgets and the older can recall. Rather odd, loitering in a cemetery.
I suspect you'll win, but I'm here for my art. There's beauty everywhere if you look, even in decay. A little darkness brings out the light. Now, a diligent observer might note that you too were loitering in a cemetery. What brings you here? Closure answers penance?
Closure, I suppose.
And what is closure? Mere proximity?
Understanding. Acceptance.
You didn't understand from afar. You had to come here to accept the truth of her death?
Of course I understand. She died of consumption, drowning in her own blood.
Your mother?
Yes, my mother.
I must have been misinformed. I'd heard otherwise.
Otherwise than consumption?
No, you'd know better than I. I'd heard talk of a police investigation, but Cordona is a notorious gossip. And what does it matter? She's passed on either way.
She has.
Well, I shall intrude no longer. I'll leave you to your closure. Do stop by the gallery if your travels permit. Farewell.
Are you all right, Sherry? Take as long as you need.
Whatever I need, it isn't here. We should explore Cordona. Perhaps there are archives that may shed further light.
Stark do this, Stark do that. I'm not a clerk, damn it. How am I supposed to get those records now? Yes? What is it? Would you like to report a crime?
No, I wouldn't. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I want to use the police archives.
Wouldn't we all?
I'm serious.
So am I. Officer Logan locked himself inside and he's not letting anyone in.
But why the archives? Won't that stall everyone's work?
You bet it will. He's looking up all the thieves in Cordona over the past decade. Say one thing for Logan. He's persistent.
What happened exactly?
A tailoress from Scaladio's been robbed. Logan spent 2 whole days at the shop sketching the thief, and she still insists that it's all wrong. That shrew drove him up the wall, she did.
Would you mind if I talk to this tailoress? I could get you the sketch in no time.
Get off your high horse, mister. You think you're better than our sketch artist?
Actually, I'm quite certain I am. Let me prove it.
Well, I see no harm in it, as long as it gets Logan out of there. In fact, I need to look up some records too. Here's the address. Good luck.
What's up?
You need to take a break.
I'm pleased to meet you, ma'am. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm here to sketch the thief for the police investigation.
Oh, another one. I hope you'll be more patient than the previous sketches, signore.
I suggest we do it differently. You have a great many clothes here, haven't you?
Why, of course, but they're not for sale. I only do tailoring and mending.
No matter. I'll attempt to disguise myself as the thief, and you'll tell me if I get it right.
As you wish, Senor Holmes.
Can you describe the thief for me?
He was all ugly and beat-up looking, an utter rascal if ever I'd seen one. He gave me a nasty look from behind his glasses and then made himself scarce.
And that's it? Could you be more specific?
He was a total villain, I told you. How much more specific do you want me to be?
All right, never mind. Where can I find the clothes?
They're in my workshop at the back. Be careful, won't you?
Oh, look at this old chap putting on airs like some Italian doge. Why don't you disguise yourself as him instead?
We have a job to do, John.
Oh, come on, at least do him first.
Uncle Giovanni? Oh, signore, you look exactly like my uncle. He's the grandson of the Doge of Venice, you know. I knew you reminded me of someone. You are as alike as two peas. Perhaps you have some royal blood in you, too.
That is flattering, I suppose, but I sincerely doubt it, Mum.
Told you, he's a doge. Now that's a deduction.
He's not an actual doge.
If you say so, my lord, the doge.
Ah, it's you. I mean, it's him. It's him.
Excellent. Now I can make a sketch and take it to the police.
Yes, please do. That rascal is still on the loose. I hope they are better at catching than sketching.
Before I go, Mum, are you quite certain that you don't have any clothes to sell?
Well, I suppose you can take the police uniform. An officer forgot it here years ago, and I don't have any use for it. If you want to buy clothes, visit the outfitters. You can find them all over Codorna. I hear they even do free rentals now. Let me show you where the nearest one is.
Thank you very much. Hello again, officer. I've spoken to the tailoress and made a sketch of the thief. It was child's play.
No, really? And she didn't give you any trouble?
No trouble at all. She was quite tolerable.
Huh. Who would have thought? Hey, Logan, we've got the sketch. Come on out.
Can I use the archives now?
Well, they're generally not accessible to the public, but you really helped us out, so I'll just turn a blind eye.
I appreciate it, officer.
What did you say your name was? Holmes? Come and see me after you're done. I may have a proposition for you, Mr. Holmes.
John, I just recalled that we were living here on Cordona in a manor. And there was a policeman.
Really? What else do you remember? What happened to our mother?
The memory was vague, a mere flash. I have to find our house.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I'm done with the archives for now. Can I help you with anything else?
As a matter of fact, you can. The thing is, our chief inspector has vanished, as if we weren't undermanned enough as it is.
Wait, what do you mean, vanished?
Gone missing on a case. Shady business, but that's besides the point. See that board? Pending cases are posted there for any available officers to investigate. I would take them myself, except that I've been told to work the reception desk, like some clerk. Yes, we're that short-handed.
I understand your predicament, but what does any of it have to do with me? I may be available, but I'm certainly not an officer.
Oh, don't worry about it. Consider yourself a temporary one-man independent police force. That's a bit of a mouthful. There's just one small, minor basic formality. You'll need to complete our physical training course. Easy.
Well, I'm not one to balk at a spot of exercise. What must I do?
That's the spirit. Sergeant Ermy will show you the ropes. Follow me.
So, you're a newcomer. We must be desperate to ask untrained civilians for help.
You're lucky to have a well-trained civilian with a brand new auto pistol in his arsenal.
An automatic? A bit of a braggart, aren't you?
Are you trying to test me already?
That is why you're here, boy. I need to verify your skills before I can allow you to catch criminals. The first targets are in the next room. You know what to do with them. I'll join you in a while to see the results.
Concentrate, Sherry. You need to hit every target to show the sergeant you're doing.
Hooray!
Proceed to the next room. Meanwhile, I'll fill out the paperwork. Move on to the next room, new boy.
Come on, Sherry. It's just like in
An
childhood.
order.
Steady, Sherry. Steady. And go. My favourite mannequins for uh-oh, Sherry. Not a nice shot. You could have killed the fella.
I could do this all day.
Forget the environment. Uh-oh, Sherry. Not a nice shot. You could have killed the fella if he was alive. Our enemies might be stronger than us, but we rely on our wits. Shoot off their armour. All right, if you stand here and use your snuff box on them, you can definitely overcome them, Sherry. It's all calculated. Look at that helmet of his. You won't be able to get the powder past it.
Helpful advice, John.
Uh-oh,
Never
Sherry.
have guessed.
Not a nice shot. You could have killed the fella. Uh-oh,
Good
Sherry.
job, new
Not
boy.
a nice shot.
Well,
You could have
I'm
killed
almost
the fella
finished with the
if he was
paperwork.
alive.
Let's talk about your results. Well, I must say your results aren't as bad as I feared. Perhaps you're not completely hopeless, but true combat is quite different from shooting stationary targets.
I'll handle it just as easily.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. Now, we'll test you against our men. Your task is to detain them, not to kill them. So don't go shooting anyone in the eye. That goes for in the field as well. Even though you'll be working with the police department, that doesn't mean you have a license to kill. Here, take these. They are blank rounds. So, are you ready?
Always ready.
Then let's get cracking.
Worried.
Not at all. I can hit them all with one shot.
Good luck, Sherry, and remember, the surroundings are your playground.
That's enough. You've proved yourself. Congratulations on the arrests. I can't believe you did so well with the close combat.
I did tell you that I'm well trained.
Well, do the same on the street, and you'll be well rewarded for every arrest you make. Here is your certificate. You are now an authorized crime scene consultant. Well, it's now your duty to make this city a safer place. Cordona won't ever forget it, but at the same time, it will never remember. I'll tell Stark all the necessary details about your successful certification. Congratulations.
Now you're a certified crime scene consultant. Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. Now, shall we head for Stonewood Manor?
Don't know. You have the whole island to investigate. It's all up to you. Hey, Sherry, there's post here, and it seems as if the letter was delivered recently.
After reading that, I am even less eager to return home than before. Let's investigate our manor.
That's the Mycroft I know. Predictable.
There she is. Our old manor. It's smaller than I remember.
You were a couple of feet shorter back then, Sherry. Or maybe it's bigger on the inside.
I did not expect these to still be here. It was enjoyable to practice using real handcuffs to make an arrest. An irreplaceable tool for catching a thief. And this must be the reason our suspect was apprehended. Wood and glass, oh, very precious.
Hey, that's Wooden Joe. He was always the best at playing criminals.
the ash all over the door? I don't recall hearing of a fire.
We don't have to stay here. You can afford another night or two at the hotel.
It's stuck.
Oh well, let's just head back. They probably haven't even stripped our room yet.
Come on. Must be locked.
Move aside. Let me have a go. Seems fine to me, Sherry. This barrier, perhaps it's mental, not physical.
Or perhaps the rest of us are simply constrained by reality, John. I wonder if there's a key secreted somewhere in the garden.
Try to recall that memory about the policeman, Sherry. Concentrate.
The policeman brought us both home, John. That's why he was here.
I'm pretty sure he brought something else with him too. Do you remember what it was? I bet it was our reward.
No, we were not so lucky. It was a set of lockpicks that we had used to sneak into someone's house. That's why we were arrested.
Did someone come out to investigate all the commotion?
It was Mycroft. He smoothed things over and convinced the policeman not to press charges. The officer left and never returned. But we had to endure a serious talking to from my brother. Mycroft wasn't happy about the fact that we were arrested. It felt like he lectured us for hours.
Did we give him something afterwards, Sherry?
Oh, yes. Yes, now I remember. It was a letter. That's why we snuck into the house. Mycroft asked us to. He wasn't angry we stole, but that we got caught.
Oh, that's right. It must have been only a couple of months after we moved to Cordona. Ugh, the good old days. Whoa.
How very odd. It appears that memory stood between me and the manor. It's as if my mind palace had seeped into the real world. This deserves further investigation. Perhaps there's more to discover inside.
As long as there is a comfortable place to put my feet up, I'll be happy. Maybe a chaise longue.
Aha! In we go.
Home sweet home, Sherry.
Hey, this is the luggage we brought from London, isn't it? One of the first things I saw when entering this house as a child. It's like déjà vu.
And I was wondering why it's so empty in here.
There may be a small chance that some of our property could be found among local traders' wares. It is worth a look, wouldn't you say? Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. Out the day we moved in. The only detail I'm sure of is that it was raining early that morning. Our mother brought a slew of belongings with her. She refused to leave a single thing in London. Mycroft had to spend the whole day dealing with it. There was always a hat on our stand, but I'm sure it did not belong to Mycroft. This trip was a challenge for our mother. I tried to help her.
Do you feel it? Is it the air shimmering, or is it my imagination? You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate. You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate. You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate.
Your neighbors will be told that Mrs. Holmes is suffering from tuberculosis. It is common to move closer to the sea in such cases.
Thank you, Dr. Richter. No, Sherlock, step away from her. Upstairs, go to your room.
Lean on me, Mother. Take your time.
Actually, I never heard her coughing. I remember now.
Oh, I feel dizzy. It's stuffy in here, isn't it?
John, are you all right?
I'll be okay in a minute. How about we find our room in the meantime?
Look at this. It's like traveling 10 years into the past with a single step. Oddly satisfying.
Oh, it reminds me of our neighbour. He had the same balloon in his yard, only bigger. Do you remember?
Yes. We visited him several times while living here. Cannot believe all my toys are still here.
Hey, they were not just yours, they were half mine too.
An artifact from Palau carved out of bone and claimed to be 300 years old. My mother proved it was a fake. My very favourite plaything. It was the perfect pirate treasure. The first chemical laboratory I ever made. I almost miss its elegant simplicity. Need to repeat this one day, but with bullets.
Coal dust from Miner's End, sandy dirt from the old city. We scoured the island top to bottom for these soil samples.
Look at this, John. Remember how desperately I wanted to learn the violin? I never had a proper opportunity.
Such a shame. I always hated the rule about being silent in this place.
The only fiction book on my table. I can still hear my mother reading it to me. Interesting. What's that over there? This doorknob has a cross-shaped end. Too intricate to be merely a handle.
You know what? That definitely looks like a key. Let's poke around and see if we can find any secrets.
The only fiction book on my table. I can still hear my mother reading it to me. So many pleasant evenings were spent here with the Encyclopedia Americana. Perfect match. Made of cherry wood, Father's favourite. Still has a faint odor of tobacco, one of the few things on this island that smell like home. My small archive of crime clippings. Maybe I should pick up this habit again.
I knew you'd find it in no time. Wasn't that neighbour missing a finger?
That does sound vaguely familiar. Wasn't his name, Theodore? Theodore Gilden, perhaps?
It's the perfect time to investigate.
That wretch Goliath would murder us all. Mark my words.
Destruction and trampled ground. Oof, the contortionist you were not. Disjointed vertebrae. Difficult to say if it was a way to start or finish him off. A belt from a dressing gown. Curious. A kneecap reduced to splinters. A missing pinky. Middle-aged. It's none other than Theodore Gilden.
Oh boy, Sherlock. Another death means another question.
And we shall answer the question. It's far too interesting to give it up to the police.
poke the elephant with this? Really? People are hopeless.
A strong pull broke this leash. A pool of blood and saliva, possibly as a result of impact.
Sherlock, take a picture of the footprint. It's valuable evidence. This photograph can help us find the old article about the elephants. The front page was fascinating. It was hard to believe as a child.
True. We may need it in our investigation. As if they were struck by a battering ram.
I wonder how we managed not to hear any of this.
A coal gas tank, enough to pump up an airship. A sailor's knife, useful for cutting wet and thick ropes. Fresh signs of impact. A rough landing led to an altercation with this shed. It's seen a lot of use. The blade is worn from grinding. In a fit of rage, the elephant broke the chain and threw its victim on the ground with a fierce power. Escaping the scene, it pulled the body with it, but dropped it at the gate. At least some of this was witnessed by a third party who was hurled against the shed. The elephant can't have gone too far. I can still track it.
Well, suppose you find it. Then what? Push it all the way back to the manor?
Stop the presses. Who is Cordona's handsome stranger? Or Nosebaggerspun's local life? Wait, no. Foppish foreigner hides dark past. Oh, you've made quite the impression already, Mr. Holmes. You care to tell your side of the story?
I'm quite certain I have no idea as to what you refer, and I am further certain I have no interest in indulging your gossip.
Gossip? The truth will come out, but will only be heard if told well. Scandal, daring-do, romance. These are the tools of every good journalist. Nothing travels faster or lasts longer than a great story. Young man, your tale will be told with or without you. My readers demand it.
You already knew my name and seem aware of my doings here in Cordona. I presume this newspaper is your little endeavor?
Yasmin Sertel, editor-in-chief of the Cordona Chronicle. Advocate of the free press, voice of the people, scourge of the silk stocking.
Charmed, I'm sure. As an advocate of the free press, I trust you'll permit me to consult your archives? There are gaps in my knowledge of Cordona.
Oh, so my work does have merit. Well, I think we can strike a bargain. I shall provide you access, and you let me keep writing about your exploits.
So be it.
Brooding bachelor builds bridges. Now that's character development.
I guess I owe you my gratitude.
What can I say? I've always enjoyed working with the Holmes. They whisper such interesting things.
that's the article. Feeling old already?
May I ask you something?
I'll help you, sir. You have my full attention.
Strange. It was hung with care. The game has escaped us for now. We'll find a solution to the elephant problem later.
You. Who are you?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. Theodore Gilden was...
Did you kill him? Did you kill the elephant?
It's not in the yard anymore. It escaped into the forest.
You can't let it go. What if it returns?
I highly doubt that, Miss...
Imogen Gilden. Please, I beg of you, find that dreadful beast that killed my father.
I suppose we do need to learn what happened. Can you tell me what happened? From the very start.
I was here, so I didn't see how it began. My father visits the enclosure every morning to wake up Goliath. Today, I heard the elephant scream. I've never heard such a horrifying sound. My heart stopped. I knew something was wrong. I looked through my window and saw how it lifted my father up by his neck. I rushed downstairs. I saw it dragging my father as if he were a doll. I threw stones at it. It dropped my father's body and charged outside, screaming. Its roar was almost human. I was frightened, so I ran inside and hid here.
That is a terrifying experience, Miss Gilden. I'm sorry you had to go through it.
Thank you. Goliath must be caught, Mr. Holmes.
Well, thank you for the information, Miss Gilden. I did have some questions for your father. Perhaps you might help me with them?
I wasn't privy to much of my father's life, and it's very hard to think of anything at all with Goliath still loose. Please, Mr. Holmes.
Very well. Do you mind if I ask you more questions if I find anything that might help?
Anything to catch that monster.
Miss Gilden, I was on this island 10 years ago, and your father knew my mother. I believe I even had the opportunity to ride that balloon outside, but I do not recall seeing you.
I lived at my late mother's in Sheffield at the time. I'm in no spirit to reminisce right now. The elephant is out there.
You've never heard the name Violet Holmes before? Perhaps your father...
Please, Mr. Holmes. With that beast roaming free, I can't think of anything.
Very well. I have to leave you for now. False idols? Oh, sounds utterly dreary. She packed as much as she could carry. The same dull poses on all romantic photographs. So idyllic. Enjoy your happily ever after before it stales.
Hey, Sherry, we need to talk. You found false idols. We need to find the remaining two.
What does bazooka even mean? Would this paper be good for anything but blowing one's nose on?
They're not rubbish, Sherry. There's something more. I'm serious.
Very well. I doubt it'll be worth it, but I will find them for you, John.
You'll thank me later. They're some of the most imaginative books I've ever read.
What did you say?
Speaking aloud helps me think. What's so special about this place? Another elephant? A catchy title. Partnership annulled with a single stroke of a pen. I should take a photograph of the plans. I don't want to carry them around. A relatively functional choice to replace the finger. I think they were closer than you and me, John.
I'm hurt.
Oh, the pungent stench of an animal.
Did Theodore seek some pink elephants with this?
I think Miss Gilden has barely matured. From before Mycroft was born, our family loves to prod at the past. Mother. It's nice to see her young and smiling.
Holmes's desire to rake up the past is hereditary.
His second child? An apparent son and heir, I'd say. Quite the spectrum. From the history of the Roman Empire to conspiracy theories of the French Revolution. The nicest spot in the room. Mr. Gilden spent hours of his life right here.
Staring at an elephant's backside. What a wonderful life.
Did you observe anyone else in the yard? Any of your servants, perhaps?
Servants? Do you imagine that we would have any with Goliath? No one wishes to work in this house, even for double pay. I didn't see anyone else. Only my father and that diabolical beast.
These bags of yours, it looks as if you've packed your entire room. Were you planning on going somewhere?
My partner and I, we wanted a change, a fresh start abroad. But now I have to stay here. Here, an orphan.
I found this. Who's this young lad next to you, your faithful knight?
Paul. He's my pirate. He's not really a pirate. I just call him that. It probably sounds very silly.
Your secret is safe in my hands. Does Paul work somewhere? What is his surname?
His name is Paul Perks. He and his yacht Whirlpool are the champions of the Salacia Yacht Club. He sails there. I'll show you where it is on the map if you need to meet him.
A yachting champion? Oh, well, that will be a first. I prefer dry land. And so does my suit. And, which part of the elephant is in here? It's quite pungent.
Oh, that. It's elephant sweat. Father believed that it might replace traditional ambergris.
Well, that's true entrepreneur spirit. A. Swift, is this name familiar to you? Your father had it removed from this plan.
Oh, that's Arthur Swift. I've seen him a couple of times here. He works with my father in the old city, digging up something ancient.
He is an archaeologist?
That's the word, yes. But to be truthful, I really don't think Mr. Swift is fit to be one. I've just learnt a lot about archaeology from my favourite book series. Oh, they are page-turners.
Inspirational, I'm sure, but would you happen to know where this Mr. Swift might be found?
I don't, but perhaps you can find out somewhere. My father's work with him is all official. Lots of boring legal papers with signatures and stuff.
How can you read something like this? It's hard to swallow, and that's not due to the hard cover.
You're hardly serious. Any library without Nabe and Laura is incomplete. If you can read, then these books are an absolute must. Love and adventure. They're about life.
Oh, I wasn't aware that exploding pyramids were a part of daily life on Cordona.
You haven't seen life, so you might try reading about it at least. I've nothing to say about this. I've nothing to say about this.
Had Goliath been aggressive before?
It's dangerous, but it was never aggressive near my father. My father would do anything for Goliath. All the elephant had to do was clap its ears.
You envied him, the elephant, I mean?
Our house is called the House of Ivory. I've heard some people refer to me as the Ivory Girl, and my room stinks of the animal, as if it's me who lives in a pen and not Goliath. It's not envy, Mr. Holmes. It's just incredibly difficult to live like this.
Is this familiar to you?
That's a question I can answer.
The Champion's Whirlpool. equals bread and butter. A foghorn to navigate and warn others at sea.
It should have a warning to cover your ears.
Sails of hatred. I suppose there is something for everyone, including champions.
Who knew archaeology could be so exciting?
Exciting is certainly a word. Bloodied bandages. Has someone been hurt?
Where would a champion hide a key?
I hope Paul is more skilled at yachting than he is at hiding keys. Bloodied bandages. Mr. Gilden wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. An interesting place for a message to a champion. Old betting slips. Paul always bets on Whirlpool. One victory after another. To earn big, you have to spend big. An interesting place for a message to a champion. Old betting slips. Paul always bets on Whirlpool. One victory after another. Additional earnings to sweeten the victory. An expensive set of tools for woodwork. An amateur wouldn't know how to use these. Shipbuilding, shipwright's tricks, sail weaving. A box full of darts. Each has a needle and can be loaded with drugs. Undeniably psychotropes. Not for toothache, I think. Undeniably psychotropes. Not for toothache, I think. A typical tea tin. I wonder what he has for biscuits.
Oi! Hands off my possessions before you lose your fingers. Are you illiterate? The rules are written everywhere.
Ah, Mr. Perks, the cabin boy himself.
Champion, you mean? I was right. You are illiterate. I think a couple of shiners might teach you. One last chance. Who are you?
I'm Sherlock Holmes, a friend of our mutual acquaintance, Miss Imogen.
Look, you artichoke. Imogen has no friends. Except for me.
If you must try to insult people, it's better to know the meanings of the words that you're using.
You fancy you could teach a sailor to swear? Go ahead. Show me how inventive you are.
Stand still for a moment. I'm impressed by how well a woman can handle a yacht and endure so many hardships on the open sea. The revelation of your nature could well humiliate so many rich men here, not to mention how you have broken the rules. But I understand. You've done this to forge a real career in the sport. But tell me something. Has no one asked you why you don't grow a beard?
Shh! Have you been following me? You better not be wanting to end my career, because I swear you'll regret it if I get outed.
Damn you, Paul. I'm sick of... Who's this peacock? Does he know who I am?
I definitely know who you are not. You're not a dictionary reader, at least. I wanted to see how you... pals interact with each other in your natural habitat. But I'm afraid I have to interfere.
And there's no reward for risking our lives.
Paul's explanation will suffice. Your fellow mariners have a strange way of showing hospitality.
They were not my friends.
Are you sure? I would rather risk my neck for someone who's at least honest and thankful.
Perhaps then don't enter someone's life and be so judgmental, pretending you're better than they are.
Then give me your perspective and allow me to see through your eyes. What were you doing this morning, Miss Perks?
Don't call me that. I'm a champion. I was sailing.
The other club members told me that you missed the race this morning. Do champions not need to practice?
Ugh, you've talked with them already. No, I wasn't racing. I visited the doctor after that attack on me, and then I had to honor the deal with the bandits you just took care of.
I tried to tell you before, but your partners interrupted. Have you heard the news? Theodore Gilden is dead. Do you have anything to say?
Well, what a shock. To me, he was an angry old ogre. Good riddance. Was it Goliath that killed him? Did it crush him? Break his bones? Come on, tell me. I want all the details.
You have an unusual way of showing grief. Imogen wouldn't appreciate that. But yes, the animal could have been involved.
It's poetic in a way, isn't it? It takes a beast to kill a monster. I wish I could have been that elephant.
This business of yours, you should be more careful. Ruining your life at such a young age is ridiculous.
I am careful. Except for you, no one has noticed where I store the smuggled goods. If the police arrive, there's no link to me. It's common storage, not exclusively mine.
You smuggle illicit psychotropes on your yacht. Not a delivery for the hospital, I'm sure.
Of course not. I've had to cut corners to earn some money. How might a person afford to pay for a yacht in an honest way? I don't know, although I'm smart. The buyers are my customers. Adults who are willing to pay for their pleasure, or weapons for jewels. Whatever they want me to deliver. Nothing criminal.
Well, it's your lucky day. I'm not here because of smuggling. Have you tasted this tea yourself?
I wouldn't have been a champion if I had used it. It's just a side business that keeps my career afloat. It's quite expensive to compete in yachting. Sometimes I cut corners.
Such as fixing whirlpool yourself?
Exactly. And sometimes I just have to pay. That's how I earn money. I don't sell slaves or take the last mangear from a poor family.
Look what I found. A box full of darts.
Hey, that's mine.
I confiscated it. These darts appear to be filled with something. Poison? How powerful is it?
It's strychnine. Enough to instantly kill a small rodent. I haven't tried it on a human. Yet. I hope you know what you're doing.
Could it immobilize a larger animal? Say, an elephant?
I've never tried, but I have wondered.
charming picture. I've heard that champions do often pose with their trophies.
Cheeky. It is a lovely trophy, though. I'm sure you will agree.
What is it that you like most about her? Her naivety? Her father's money?
A somewhat difficult choice. Especially now that her father is out of the equation.
Imogen doesn't strike me as an industrious young lady, so I find it strange that she was busy packing up all her belongings when Mr. Gilden died. That's some favourable wind in your sails, isn't it?
Is it so suspicious that a couple might embark on a trip? I wanted to thank her, so we planned to go travelling. A Theodore-free place, without elephants.
The timing of it is suspicious, however. Your lady friend becomes an orphan and heir, and there's a planned trip directly afterwards.
An improvised romantic dinner will never please a spoilt girl. A planned voyage might. It's not spur of the moment.
It seems as though Theodore Gilden hung a sword of Damocles over your life and career. Were these only words, or something more serious?
Check my forearm. Pulled muscles and bruises. Small cuts. Nothing that you could call serious.
I doubt that a man in his late 50s could wrestle you.
It wasn't him. He behaved like a rat and hired brutes. His boys tried to lock my hands behind my back, but I was faster and I escaped.
Was he so protective of his daughter, or was it your feminine secret that provoked him?
My guess is that he was protecting his property. As he saw it, he owned Imogen, and he treated her like a piece of furniture. He didn't want his daughter to be loved by anyone. What's more painful is that Theodore didn't allow me to love his daughter. Typical.
I'm not sure that your relationship with Imogen could be described as typical.
Are you afraid of a woman in trousers? Now that's typical of men.
What can you tell me about the elephant?
He's smarter than some people here, including his owner. Although I feel he could be dangerous, no matter how much he's fed.
Why is that? Have you ever seen Goliath attack anyone?
Well, not exactly. But I saw it, abusing some poor tree during one of its walks with Theodore. The expression on that old ninny's face was priceless. But it wasn't funny to look at. Believe me, it was frightening. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means.
A. Swift. Are you familiar with this name? The gentleman had business with Mr. Gilden.
Likely just another strange and wrinkled fellow like old Gilden was. Perhaps this Swift person has a rhino, and they wanted to see which pet was stronger. In other words, I don't know who he is, but I bet he's crazy like Theodore.
I doubt that court owner has ever boasted a battle arena for that size of mammal. You have an interesting imagination.
I don't know what you're suggesting.
Does this knife seem familiar? I didn't find it in your competitor's back, to be clear.
This knife is as blunt as your humor. It's a bosun's knife, but it's not mine. I wouldn't be so careless as to mislay my tools. I don't know what you're suggesting. I don't know what this means.
Between yachts, darts, and notes from bandits, I've discovered many fascinating facts about you. But this, an installment of Nabe and Laura's adventures. Why did you sully your library with this?
It's a gift from Imogen. I didn't buy it. I might have turned a couple of pages, but nothing more. I swear.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt, but your literary taste has put you on my blacklist.
I've nothing to say about this.
Are you aware that Paul smuggles drugs for a dangerous gang?
Mr. Holmes, I've already told you. I call him a pirate in play. He's not an actual pirate. He's a champion and a brave gentleman, not a thug.
Let us agree to disagree on that. But don't be surprised if one of his clients knocks on your door.
I've nothing to say about this. I don't have any thoughts on this.
Have you seen what your father sent to Paul?
This is despicable. My father was never a gentleman, but this crosses the line. I knew that father wasn't fond of Paul, but this is just awful. If only he could have seen how good Paulie is to me. It's chilling to think the monster is free.
Are you lost, sir?
Not at all. I'm right where I need to be. I'm Sherlock Holmes, by the way.
Ursula Oni, the chief archivist. How can I help you exactly?
I need to take a look at the history of Cordona and its islanders to retrieve some, hopefully, useful information.
Your brother Mycroft told me that you were direct, and now that we've met, I can see that is true.
Someone in our family has to balance the evasive nature of my brother. Well, may I use the city archives?
You may, of course, but in return, perhaps dinner?
That's a high price to pay for looking at your archives.
I was teasing you. Pay no attention to me.
With your love for archives, you would have made the perfect bureaucrat.
won't miss
Nice
out on the
affordable
best carpets on the island.
Sir, kind sir, might I steal your attention?
I am not buying.
Ah, that is the thing. You won't waste a single mangir. I am a digger, you see, and I have heard of a dig site so deep it clogs your ears. I want to be there.
Why are you telling me this?
I have heard of a man recruiting for such a dig. A man with a scar, such as the one that you're hiding. And your boots are dirty with the deep clay I am so familiar with. Oh, I hope it wasn't too rude of me to point that out.
You have a good eye. And you just want to dig? Dig deep and that's it? What's the catch? Are you in desperate need of money?
Oh, there is no catch, sir. I won't even ask for advance pay. Just give me a shovel and I'll dig a hole like you've never seen.
Huh. Is that so? Well, I have to ask you an important question first. Would you be fine working for Brits?
I am all for them.
Well, you say that, but can you prove it?
I'll sing you a very special song. God save our gracious queen.
Cut it! Or people here will make you their queen.
I can also speak in limericks.
Please don't. You might be a little bit weak in the head, but a natural-born digger with a keen eye is what we need. Take this permission slip and go to this address. The guard will let you in and check with the professor once you're there.
Stop loitering and get inside. Newcomer, talk to the professor first. He's the old fellow with the glasses and the plans.
Where's the fire in your eyes? Where's the smile? I am sick and tired of seeing apathy among the new workers.
Sir, believe me, I do have the spark. I want to start work straight away. It's as important to me as it is to you.
Ah, that's the spirit. I'm on the verge of a great discovery.
How did you meet?
Don't ask questions. You'll have to find the answers yourself. I'm not a nanny. I'm a busy man who is changing the course of history.
I am ready to work.
Splendid. Do you know what I am working on?
The ivory bats. Everyone is looking forward to the grand opening.
Who told you this nonsense? Why would you contaminate history with this base desire for leisure? We are looking for Vitus Lemonius's tomb. This is our goal, to find the artifacts of the early Roman Empire. Let's continue. I am Professor Swift. We have 3 rules here. Don't touch anything, always return the tools, and don't distract me unless you find something.
Sounds simple enough. Are you the only one in charge here, Mr. Swift?
Yes, I am the only one and no one else. You hear anything other than that, it's a lie. People of your kind can have difficulty understanding who's in charge. Take a minute, memorize my face, and then get to work.
Oh, I will definitely take a closer look to memorize my superior. I wish I could be as passionate about something as you are, Mr. Swift. You value knowledge and dedication over everything else.
It's a long road, young man. A sharp eye and attention to detail are the only stepping stones along this path. You have to sacrifice everything you love for the larger prize.
Exactly. So much in life is superficial. I wish more people would understand.
I never heard a truer word, lad. Folk will ignore what truly matters in life, and for what? Convenience.
Bold words indeed. I doubt that many scientists would be willing to support their bragging with fieldwork.
The academic world is full of restrictions. Our honorable professors are too afraid to dirty their hands. God forbid if they have a stain on their shirt. You can follow in my footsteps. You can start learning by returning to work. Show me what you can find. Don't touch anything here. Get back to work.
This reminds me of my father's room. A plan for this whole operation. This might prove useful. I'll note it down. Straw dolls. Eerie, but effective for a scene recreation.
Oh, I want one of these. Or two.
Oilcloth. Won't fade and waterproof. Enough here to make 10 sails and more. Sharpest pickaxe. A guilty pleasure of the real archaeologist. Missing your Laura, Mr. Swift?
Hey, a word about the trilogy.
Right then, you literary expert. What was so important about these books? Or did you simply need some kindling?
It's inspirational. I have a plan. Are you listening?
I wish I wasn't, but I am.
So, we catch a monkey, a langur, for example, then we extract some blood from it.
What? Why?
It will make us forever young, Sherry. Page 127, the second book.
Oh, I am so done with this.
No, wait. Then how about we make a wax statue?
I've stopped listening, John.
Swift lost his temper when he learned what happened to the statue. Swift lost his temper when he learned what happened to the statue.
Somehow the text remains legible. Let's see if I remember my Latin. A goddess? A mother? Someone's wife? A sickle for harvesting. The ancient Romans honored the seasons. There were 4 statues here originally.
I wonder what the 3 other statues look like.
Swift lost his temper when he learned what happened to the statue.
I see now. Mr. Swift didn't realize the significance of the statues. It seems everything's in place. Now, let's see what this has to tell us.
Here is your discovery, Mr. Swift. Hey, look at this.
What have you found? Don't let anyone touch anything there. Eureka! I found you, my friend.
A box of darts. Handy against rodents of all kinds.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? Trying to take over my research, are you? I come here to pick up my diary, and I find you snooping around. Explain yourself.
Mr. Swift, if that were true, I would have been on my way to the newspaper. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I didn't have a chance to introduce myself properly.
Outrageous! You deceived me, sir. What is the reason for your being here? Who sent you, Mr. Holmes?
Theodore Gilden's premature death brought me here.
Theodore is dead? How can that be possible?
I'm thinking of all the possibilities, and I'm not crossing out anyone who might have been involved. Even his elephant. The land you're excavating belongs to Mr. Gilden, does it not?
Did I hear an accusation? I have nothing to hide. You can ask me whatever nonsense you've prepared as a token of my diminishing respect towards you.
Very well, Mr. Swift. I appreciate your cooperation. Were you at the site this morning?
Affirmative. This project is taking a lot of my time, as you see. I spend more time underground than on the surface.
When did you learn about Theodore's death?
Just now. You just told me.
And you aren't surprised, shocked? I won't tell anyone if you shed a tear or two. Weren't you partners, after all?
We were. And it is a real shame. But I've seen too many deaths in my life, Mr. Holmes, for the news to truly shake me.
When was the last time you saw Mr. Gilden?
A couple of days ago. We discussed the site. I believe in the tomb and its secrets. Theodore's patience was stretched, however. He was already inventing new projects. It wasn't a long conversation. I suppose that his daughter will inherit everything now, along with all of the eccentricities and problems.
And not forgetting Goliath.
Eccentricities and problems, Mr. Holmes. One of many. Will you allow me to return to my research, or are you insisting on remaining an obstacle?
Oh, I haven't even started yet. What's with this box of darts? Is it for a scientific argument?
A little darker than that. Rather for killing the kind of rodents that might nibble a nose or a toe in your sleep.
Let's just say I have to protect myself against a larger animal, such as an elephant. Might it be enough to stop it, make it faint?
If I were you, I wouldn't bank on it.
You have a weakness for nostalgia? Or, rather, do you use it to record a list of enemies?
Young man, you need to check your moral compass. Reading another person's diary is a sin in every culture that I can think of.
But you aren't answering the question.
You've already read it. Why bother? I simply record my life to keep my memory clean from misinterpretation. Letters and pages don't lie.
But the writer of the text can. With this book, you attempted to plan an attack on the elephant?
Your insinuations are out of place. Goliath is a frightening animal. All I wished to do was to understand the creature. As any scientist would do, I researched, analyzed, and drew conclusions.
And what conclusion did you draw?
That Theodore Gilden made the animal miserable. He couldn't provide the proper environment for the beast. My interest in the subject ended there. Moving on. Moving on.
As far as I can tell, you're a man of the academic world, so this book about Nabe and Laura is just an empirical study?
What? That nonsense? I'd prefer to lose my eyesight than read such trash.
So, you know nothing about it?
I know nothing. I wish I'd never heard of it in the first place, this caricature of science.
Do I hear traces of envy? You're still relatively young that you might find your own Laura.
Perhaps I envy Nabe, for I cannot simply blow people up for distracting me. That's all. You happy now? Wonderful. I've nothing to add.
What's with this intricate recruitment process? Pro-British workers charge less?
As a head of this organization, I need to secure a productive environment. It's impossible to do so if there are political differences, especially here, where the native population doesn't support our efforts to find the ancient artifacts.
Decent pay can also stimulate productivity and shut down any political discord. Hadn't you thought of that?
You're young. You have time to fritter and fight with everyone you meet. I don't have such a luxury. Our workers receive enough pay for what they do. So don't start a discussion you know nothing about. Moving on. I've nothing to add.
Gilden's elephant is quite an unusual addition to Cordona's fauna. What is your scientific opinion on that?
No matter how much Theodore loved it, it still remained a wild animal trapped inside a stone pen. Goliath needs savannas, fields, lakes.
I'm sure that Goliath did not have a plan to kill his owner to head to the savannas. What do you think?
No, animals don't kill in a typical sense. I can only presume that it tried to protect itself from captivity, from Theodore. It was a gilded cage that was predestined to break. Moving on. Moving on. I'm a busy man. I've nothing to add.
Remember one of the rules? It seems that you didn't return a tool. Is this knife yours?
Do I look like a fellow who carries a knife? I don't need it.
There are plenty of uses for it on the site, and outside of it.
I have other people to cut ropes for me, Mr. Holmes. I've nothing to add.
Did this plan cause a rift in your business relationship with Theodore Gilden?
Nothing like that. Admittedly, we didn't share a common vision of what is more important, the past or the future. In my opinion, we can't build a future without knowing the past.
So you wanted to save the tomb of Vitus here, or perhaps your control over the research?
Only the knowledge that rightly belongs to humankind, nothing less and nothing more. I'm a busy man. Moving on.
Have you seen this person before? The one beside Imogen Gilden?
No, but he's with Imogen, so I suppose that he's a friend of hers. That girl always has her head in the clouds. I could have said Theodore was different, but that wouldn't have been entirely true.
Away with the fairies, was he?
That's one way of putting it. Either way, I don't know much about Imogen's life or her friends. The type of elite that pretends to be educated.
Your partner had a very specific attitude towards the things he treasured. Was this habitual for him?
That would have been too much even for him. Don't get me wrong, he had a harsh temper. Like a true businessman, he was ready to burn his competitors to the ground.
But threatening someone physically would have been something new even for him, am I correct?
Absolutely. Besides, I had never seen him this angry. The fellow who received the letter must have been extremely alarmed.
This fabric will work. It might fool an elephant.
Mrs. Nini seemed to know her sewing inside out. I bet she missed us.
I hope Miss Nini won't misunderstand me. Good day, madam. I've come to you with a special requirement. The tailors on the street can't help me, I'm afraid. Could you make a doll for me?
Oh, Senor Holmes. You taught the police how to do their job, and they found the thief. Of course I will help you. But what sort of doll? A child's doll, such as my great niece might play with?
A little larger than your typical doll.
Signore, I don't understand. Boy, girl, animal, and what color?
Animal, a passionate, perhaps amorous animal.
Ah, Signore, you talk in riddles. I am an old lady who's seen it all. Tell me what you need.
I need a life-size elephant.
I think Mrs. Nini outdid herself with this one. Is that a tail?
That's a trunk, John, but I must agree with you that it's her masterpiece.
Well, let's not waste any time.
The game is on.
So, what's the plan? I hope it all doesn't go horribly wrong.
We know that the elephant is seeking a female. We can arrange that. A doll with the appropriate scent might do miracles.
So you're a marriage broker? Well, I suppose that makes me a groomsman. Oh, she is a bit breezy, I must say.
Well, Goliath is eager for a single female elephant in his area. It should be just enough for his taste. You'll need to trust me.
Are we ready? I can't stand the tension.
We're ready. Let's call the elephant.
How could anyone resist? I knew a lady once who said just that. Too bad I'm not an elephant. Take your time, Sherry. That deserves a slap, and then a kiss.
And here's our lovesick friend.
What is the meaning of this? Why are you bringing it here? I won't allow you to leave.
I assure you that it is only a temporary measure. It won't be long until the elephant is gone, I promise you. It injured itself while running through the forest. The left tusk is larger and more worn. You're a left-tusked elephant. There's something in the needle. A feathered fletching. This might be promising. Peaceful and compliant, almost a gentleman. You are guilty, Mr. Swift. Killing Theodore Gilden was a testing challenge. You succeeded.
What makes you think I'm somehow involved in Gilden's death? My partner's death, I might remind you.
Your dart uses strychnine to kill rodents at the site, is that correct?
Well, yes, that is its purpose.
The same dart with strychnine was found on Goliath. The very same substance is a powerful stimulant. It causes convulsions, a flow of energy. You shot Goliath. The elephant became extremely energetic, agitated, and so terrified that it killed its owner. For a man of your age, it was easier to hit a larger grey target than a small man.
You said it yourself. Goliath killed Theodore, and your strychnine speculations are absurd. Only athletes use it as a stimulant, not elephants.
True, but one dart of strychnine would not be enough to kill the elephant, and you knew it. Let me tell you a story. A man spends almost 5 years of his life locating an artifact. He puts every ounce of energy and money into his research. The same man even goes so far as to sign a contract with a ruthless man, a businessman. It was a risk, but the reward would be worth it. Years go by and there's still no result, so the businessman decides to end the man's research. He spits on the research, he promises to bury the site under an eccentric project. All of this is just his whim. Theodore Gilden could do anything he wanted with this place, and you were anxious about the fate of your research. You wished to protect it. You tried to tame Gilden's eccentricity, but you killed him instead.
Theodore wasn't trying to sabotage my career. We had a disagreement, but it wasn't as dire as you describe it. He wasn't a pleasure to talk to, but killing him? Nonsense.
You were there when Theodore Gilden died.
Nonsense. I visited him many times, but I wasn't there when the elephant killed him.
Then I must have made a mistake, because the murderer met Goliath's rage personally. The perpetrator was hit by the gate and thrown into the shed. Your bruise matches the contour of the broken hole. One further detail is that the murderer had a bosun's knife, fairly useful in a place where one might cut ropes and fabric, such as, I don't know, the dig site?
That's your interpretation of the facts, Mr. Holmes. You've simply aligned them to suit your hypothesis.
It's not a hypothesis once proven, it's theory, Mr. Swift. Theodore Gilden was a capricious man, extremely impulsive. But the cold-blooded nature of your plan makes you even more dangerous. You feel nothing. You show no remorse. It was simply a calculated move. And that is why you are under arrest.
Nothing. You have nothing on me.
I think I'll let the police decide if my findings are substantial enough for prosecution.
This is all a dreadful mistake. This can't be happening. The elephant killed Theodore.
Goliath is innocent and he should be free. He is not the real murderer here. That is the apex of your career, Mr. Swift. Farewell.
I told you Mr. Swift was not a real archaeologist. He was a murderer. I knew there was something wrong with him.
Fortunately for us, being a murderer was not his profession. And about the elephant?
While you were busy, I've dealt with it. No thanks to you. I asked you to solve this wretched problem, but you didn't.
I couldn't be in two places at once, Miss Gilden. I was catching your father's murderer. But how have you dealt with it?
A man agreed to take the elephant away. He came to me asking for permission to relocate it to his property, and I accepted.
Well, congratulations, I suppose. That is one less problem.
Actually, two, Mr. Holmes. I found my father's possessions that you can take with you and disappear.
I appreciate it, truly.
Well, someone has to do something. Take everything if you need to, and leave me be.
Take care of yourself, Miss Gilden. My mother always wore this around her neck until one day it disappeared. I was wondering where it went. She said it was a birthday present from a good friend. I just had another glimpse of a memory, John. It's fuzzy, but I'm sure it happened somewhere in the manor.
Finally moving forward. Shall we go? You know, I envy you, Sherry. You can talk to other people and they won't ignore you.
And I envy you. You can ignore any person you're bored with. You don't miss out on much. Most men are dull, unlike yourself.
Well, I'm flattered.
Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. I had a surprise for my mother. I was holding an ancient Greek vase, or rather, quite a big piece of it. You had a shovel with you, John. I remember now. We dug up the vase from Greek ruins here on Cordona and were eager to show my mother right away. For some reason, the door was closed. We knocked.
But nobody answered. We thought that she was busy.
So we left the vase and ran downstairs. I decided to gather some archaeological tools in order to take a closer look at the vase.
But then we heard something, didn't we?
Yes. It came from upstairs. Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it.
The vase was broken, shards scattered all over the floor. And your mother was standing at the door.
Indeed, John. I doubt it was her. Let me concentrate. Otto Richter was standing there, furious at us. Dr. Richter told us never to disturb my mother when the door is closed. He said she had broken the vase.
But we didn't believe him. I bet he smashed it. Her things are still here.
Presumably Mycroft never felt the need to sort through it all.
Or couldn't bring himself to.
No. He would have put it behind him and moved on. My brother is not one for sentimentality. This room always reeked with an acrid medicinal stench. And here is the reason. Looks like it was damaged by a blunt object. This picture was drawn by my mother. I recognize her hand. There's a date on it, 8th of December, 1868. This seems a bit odd. I can recognize my mother's style, but it's far too sloppy. Dated 12th of February, 1869. It's difficult to tell what this is meant to represent. There's no date at all. It's a strange feeling to read about my father's death in the newspaper. I can't recall anything except the deep feeling of loss.
You were too young. It happened before we even met. It's so sad. I'm sorry.
No labels. I doubt it ever had one.
Do you think the doctor could have used these tools here? I hope not.
No labels. I doubt it ever had one. There appear to be residues of the bottle's contents at the bottom. Straps on the bed. Just doesn't look right.
Oh, I would love to take a bath right now.
Not this one. Surface corrosion suggests it was prone to extreme temperature fluctuations. For medical purposes, I suppose. One dram dissolved in a glass of water administered daily. Not to exceed one dose in 24 hours, not to be given to children. Seems this was the most frequently used medication. Oh, it brings back some memories. My mother loved flowers. They made her smile. I remember we would bring a new bouquet every week to make her a bit happier.
That's why we collected all the violet flowers we could find on the island.
Bars, covering the windows from the inside.
You're not obliged to be here, Sherry. We can leave any time you want. Look what I found. The White King is under attack. Sherry, can you save him and checkmate the opponent in one move? Sure, you saved the king, but that's no checkmate, Sherry. You're losing your touch.
We had to put the tray with Mother's morning tea down, but why? The broken plate shards were all over the floor. Mycroft had to change his suit as the one he was wearing was completely stained. Mother was troubled that morning. Something we did upset her. Dr. Richter tried to calm her down. It's starting to ring a bell. I think it happened in the morning.
don't believe you! Liars! Get away from me! It's not true! It's not real!
What? Oh.
Everything will be okay, Sherry. I promise.
It was the morning of the 9th of April, the day my mother died. My mother, she was not just ill, but had. God have mercy.
I'm sorry. That explains why you locked the memory away.
There must be more, John. That was the morning of her death. I need to know what happened.
Every time you... I just don't... Please, Sherry, leave it be.
Just breathe, John. You know that I cannot leave the last stone unturned. We are so close.
I know. But can we at least leave it for another day?
Well, history tells us these memories are triggered by our investigation of other matters. I suspect it could not be forced even if I so desired.
Thank you. How are you feeling about all this? Tell me, I'm not the only one reeling.
It feels wrong, sad. Like they're the memories of another man. I'm struggling to reconcile my love for my mother with the reality of who she was. And worse, what possessed Mycroft to lie about it? There are precious few pieces of this puzzle remaining, John. Let us dawdle here no longer.
Indeed. Wait, did you hear that?
Yes. Metallic soles. What is this sailor doing here?
Sherlock Holmes, isn't it? I was looking for you.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
You can call me your new game. The rules are simple. I have something for you, but you alone must work out what that is.
And that something is my prize, I suppose?
You're a fast learner, sir.
I cannot believe that Mr. Vogel has somehow successfully called my attention to his gallery. You're here with an invitation to visit it, obviously.
My word, you are fast, Mr. Holmes. Could you explain how you came to that conclusion?
Of course. Explanations are my favorite part of any conversation. Hands without any sign of regular physical activity, in contradiction to one who would most usually wear such a uniform. The paint in your hair is pink. I don't know of any military service that paints their ships pink, unless they have launched a new fashionable fleet. A sailor with the soul of an artist? I would suggest rather a gallery employee disguised as a sailor to mislead me. How many artists on the island know where I live and of my passion for deduction? Werner Vogel is clearly at the top of the list. And you've been attempting to conceal something square-shaped within your pocket. An invitation, I suppose. An invitation to Mr. Vogel's gallery.
That was remarkable, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Vogel was right about your genius. I think he may have even underestimated you. This is your invitation. Please tell Mr. Vogel that the seed has been planted. He asked me to tell you to do so, if you win this little game. Farewell.